Hello everybody and welcome to another one of my YouTube vlogs, and hello to the listeners in the ether wherever you may be on my podcast. I'm delighted today to podcast people are always delighted to have their guests. Let's welcome the amazing String Nguyen, all the way from Melbourne, Australia. String is a 4X now LinkedIn top voice. Has her own business, the Trusted Voice, is also a Lenovo ANZ brand ambassador. I met String via the crazy world of Justin Michael and the riffing that we're having in his Discord server, and follow String on LinkedIn just because I love her style and her approach. So let's hear your story, String. 4X LinkedIn top voice. That's pretty cool.
It is, right? And I hated LinkedIn. I'd be really honest with you. It's a piece of shit.
Okay. Let's go. Let's do this. Let's go.
That surprised you, right?
Yeah.
Because it's a piece of shit, that's where the opportunity lies as well.
Right.
Because it's not a content-driven platform. It's purely a resume platform, whereas I see it as an opportunity to stand out. And that's what I've done, is I've taken almost a approachable human conversation kind of style and added a almost YouTube, Instagram flavor into LinkedIn.
Mm-hmm. That's interesting because wow, I said that's kind of caught me off guard, but that's good. In terms of the perception of the audience that I work with, a lot of people, primarily professional services, but also broader, it is this perception, even today, that LinkedIn is a resume platform. It's a recruiter cesspool, and I used to be a recruiter many moons ago, and it's people there just want to find jobs, or people that are just selling me stuff that I don't want. And actually, for me, I agree with you that it has its challenges, but it is an amazing source of content if you know where to look. But it also presents a massive opportunity for content producers, if you will, to get your voice out there. So what shifted your perception in terms of if you weren't so positive about LinkedIn as a brand and a tool per se? Why did you still choose to take the opportunity to go, right, well, let's see how I can get this to work for me? What was the purpose behind it in the first place then?
I probably should backtrack a little bit, because it's who is this person and why are they saying about this and how did she win all these awards despite saying all this? And the thing is, I growth hack stuff as well. I have a marketing background, and if I have to start, always been, as an Asian woman in Australia, I feel like I always have disadvantages against me. So my foray on the internet wasn't YouTube. And if I had to give one advice, it's start your YouTube career early, because that's the one place that Google optimizes. You have content that allows you to monetize your knowledge, right? And I'm all about monetizing your knowledge. But I found my voice by being on internet, and I realized the traditional 9-to-5 job didn't work for me. So I graduated. I was a good daughter. My mum escaped the war from Vietnam, and she really wanted me to have a traditional lawyer job or a doctor. And I was scared of blood. Apparently, I don't like processes and I hate writing. Ironically, but I realized that I was super creative, so I went and graduated as an interior designer. Hated the 9-to-5 job. But I found my voice and my superpower by being myself online. So I went from, have you heard of Meerkat?
Meerkat?
Yes.
Yeah.
So have you heard of Periscope? Are you familiar with Periscope?
Live Twitter platform,
Yes. This is how crazy my foray to video live streaming is. I was able to monetize my live stream by hooking up Twitter with emojis, and people pay me in Bitcoin. I wish I kept all those Bitcoins at that time.
Right.
So I was always been able to find ways to monetize my stuff. And that died because Periscope was the one that Twitter brought. And I actually think Meerkat is a better product than Periscope. But that died. And then I went into different video platforms and Snapchat and won awards on it. And the day that I realized I couldn't monetize on Snapchat was the day that I wanted to go on Instagram. And I wished I went onto Instagram, but LinkedIn invited me. Like they literally knocked on my door. It's like, String, I'd love for you to be a beta video tester for LinkedIn videos.
Okay, so did you have a link? You said you were on LinkedIn at that point, but you weren't really necessarily leveraging it. And they said, we're going to trial video. We can see what you're doing on other platforms around video. Could you bring that to us and see how it works? Is that LinkedIn Live or just when they launched video? Just pure video. Okay.
Yes. So I'm the OG on video, and that's probably that's when I realized that's kind of when I went from Suzanne Nguyen to String really quickly. Because I saw the same patterns of growth and community happen. I had a hockey stick, and I monetized it from day one because I went in all my marketing agencies and CMOs and anyone who's super interested in marketing, and it's like, hey, I know how to work out LinkedIn. Would you want to know? So I was able to monetize that.
That's awesome. Consulting back to brands, going, here, this is how you can leverage this tool that LinkedIn's bringing back to then turn that into cash. Cool.
Yes, but I feel like when people come and look at me for insights on how to grow an audience on LinkedIn, because it's still an organic place for you to diminish costs. You need to own your audience, right? YouTube has that, Instagram has that, Facebook page has that, but now you have to pay for Facebook ads. LinkedIn is moving towards the same thing where your LinkedIn profile is becoming your distribution channel. So if you grow an audience, you can pretty much use that as a way to be top of the funnel and push them towards something else. So the way I explain it is like LinkedIn is an audience building platform tool. And if you have a good content creation, if you're good at writing, creating videos, are willing to share your knowledge, people will check out your profile, and that's where the opportunity is that your profile is a landing page now. It's a conversion tool.
That's when I'm talking to people around, building out their LinkedIn profiles, and moving back to your earlier point around, it's a resume tool. And I spent 5 years telling people, write your LinkedIn profile for your next job, write it like a CV. So I was guilty of that because that's how I made money back then. And now I'm like, do you understand how a website works? Do you understand search engine optimization? Even the basics, the concepts of how that works. Now you need to consider that your LinkedIn profile is your own personal website. It is your front door. It's your front door to you. Or I sometimes use the example of when we could go down the high streets. Certainly we're still in full lockdown here in the UK. If you walk down Regent Street or Oxford Street and you walk past an empty shop window, you walk straight past it, right? You don't even look at it. Where if it's got an interesting, exciting, intriguing window display, you might pause at that window, look, you might take a picture, you might bookmark it in your head, you might go into the shop. You might then browse around. You might then actually buy something, and trying to get people to shift that thought process around talk to your next customer. And actually, even though there are 722 million, I think the latest count is on LinkedIn, when someone lands on your profile, you're having a one-to-one conversation with them. So talk to them like a human being.
Yes, for sure. And that's probably why people relate to me, because I write content that's very top of the mind. I noticed like a particular habit where people write as if in third and passive language, as if they're writing in past tense, but it's a social tool. So you have to talk to them as if you're engaged, they're in front of you, is another way of like I talked about in content. And I've seen all I've been doing is like analyzing different funnels. And there's a few people that sells one product, like a digital course, and they create 3 times a day. They're good copywriters, by the way. And their content gets so much engagement that they look at the profile and he generates about 5 to 10K selling his course.
Fantastic. And when you say, and again, okay, we're kind of going all over the place here, but that's fine. That's what I enjoy these things. The content and it all comes down to content. Fundamentally, whatever social media platform you are on, you and I know this. It's all around the content in of itself. Now, you are fortunate in the fact that you evidently have a creative mind, because if you went into interior design, I'm trying to say that with your teeth into interior design, you are already creative and you're already playing around with these other platforms and looking at video and how that can work. That's a very small percentage of the majority of people on LinkedIn in a business context they're fearful of, I just don't even know where to start. I don't even know, I'm not even creative. What if nobody is interested in what I've got to say, or where do I begin? So what's your advice for people that you work with in terms of what you do, where they kind of feel they're kind of locked into this self-belief, they can't create content, they don't have that creative flair? So what would your advice be on that?
Either there's two ways of it. You start really small,
yep,
or you go in the deep end.
Right.
You start really small, you just start commenting relevantly. Mm-hmm. Engage with the person creating the content and build a community onto it. Commenting is content.
Yep.
People read comments, and don't write generic, great thoughts. That sounds like a bot, by the way. Yep. But engage with it. What is the key point or key message? It's like, I disagree with that. I actually don't mind people disagreeing with my content as well, mm-hmm. because that means they are willing to have that conversation with me. And people read comments as well. So just commenting is the first foray, mm-hmm. if you don't know where to start. But commenting is a good exercise to do it. And spend 20 minutes on the platform each day just commenting on people. And comment on people that you find content that's interesting, because then you'll meet other interesting people along the way.
Yeah, and is that, and again, I don't want to get into the algorithm, but we're going to have to kind of get into it a little bit of the algorithm on LinkedIn. Is that commenting on people within your network, or is that commenting on people's content outside of your network that you don't know?
The way to do it is that people, we pretty much live in a bubble. Our connections is our bubble. Yep. And if you want to grow beyond our bubble, you have to actively go beyond that, right? Mm-hmm. So even just looking at hashtags, yep. that within your vertical makes sense, because then you get to see what kind of content it is. And I'm going to tell you truthfully, once you start hanging around in that hashtag, you realize that content on LinkedIn is generally low tier. That's why I've been able to stand out really fast, right? Once you realize it's like, it's not, I could, if that person can do that, I could do that too. Mm-hmm. So it kind of like lets you know what standard of content you need to create just to stand out. And truthfully, you just creating original content is already standing out.
Indeed.
On LinkedIn is just a low threshold. Yeah. Everyone doesn't realize it, but there's very few people creating content on a daily basis on LinkedIn.
Yeah, indeed. And you see, and some of the stuff, and I don't know whether you noticed it, but certainly when the world was like in kind of full lockdown over our summer, your winter, as it were, some of the stuff that was creeping in from the likes of Facebook, and some of the behaviors and some of the stuff you saw on there, which is blatantly clickbait. It's like, wow, if LinkedIn allows this to happen, then we've got some big problems. They seem to have kind of got on top of that, but I have seen a definite shift which I believe was now here to stay, is that LinkedIn has now become, I don't want to say less professional, because I'm not one of these, this isn't Facebook, don't put that on there, because at the end of the day, you can just scroll past and ignore it. But it is becoming more relaxed and familiar, should I say? Have you seen that side of the world?
Yes.
Well,
I always say, like, as long as you provide value, that's the first point of content that you should think about. Does my content provide value? If not,
let's just pause on that, because value again is always, I hate the idea that I'm adding value. What, for me, I'll see how I will talk to how I do things, and then see whether you think it's an approach that people can take, and then I'll be interested in your take on what it is. But my view on adding value is just kind of give the keys to the kingdom. I can't just give it all away in terms of, if you do this and this can then happen, and you don't actually need to engage with me to do it. So I have a YouTube channel. I hints and tips on different products and services that I use. Kind of, look, if you just do this, it will work. My viewpoint is that humans are lazy, and they go, oh my God, that's awesome, but that seems really difficult. So now we need, Alex and the team's help to actually deliver this at scale. So that's kind of the approach that I take. What's your take?
That's like what I call utility, or very substance-driven content, where you feed them content to nourish them on the how-tos. You're very utility-driven, right? Yep. Whereas I try to be both. I know that people are emotionally driven, so how can you trigger their emotions but still make them learn at the same time? Because that's what clickbait is. Actually, if we want to go really how to trigger engagement. It's how to stop people scrolling now.
Yeah.
And if you don't, it's usually the first line, it's your image, it's my face, it's like, it's, you know, something that's like catches people's attention.
Okay.
First you need to do is like stop the scroll.
Yeah.
Is the first thing that we need to educate people on for content.
So how do you, and again, and this is the kind of the challenge with social and different audiences and different people. I see this, and I see some people doing this effectively, like yourself, and I see other people trying to do it, and you think, oh God, you're going down the broetry route.
Yeah, I use broetry. I use like the line by space, line space.
But it's not so much. It's not so much that. It's the actual it's the context of the post. Is like, you know, see, I wake up at 4:30 in the morning and I do like a 100-mile run before 5 a.m. and I, you know, feed my 6 kids and this and that, and it's not really actually adding any value.
But it does like reinforce that you're a family guy, but there's a way of doing it where it's super arrogant, and I feel like UK people and very much Australian people, we don't like to toot our horns. Americans do it so naturally.
Yeah, that's true. in a bad way.
Americans toot their horns so aggressively sometimes as well, and I had to learn how to do that in a way that's authentic to me. And it's like, how do I do it authentically? I realized if I want to toot my horn, I have to do it in a way that's promoting others. So I guess like we need to find our way of creating content, and because I'm willing to experiment, and people ask me, how do I like promote myself without being salesy? It's like just be really transparent and show your personality and your values at the same time. And I guess like what we need to think about is like my content is, I want to provide, every time you read my post, you learn something new.
Okay.
Whether it be about yourself, whether it be how to execute, you have to learn something new. That's the feeling that I want to give for each person that reads my post.
I'm going to bookmark that, I'll write that on.
Yeah. Well, and I noticed that people try to cram too much.
Yeah.
In one post.
Right. Okay. So they're trying to give too much information in one. Now, what do you mean by a post on LinkedIn? You mean literally the how many characters you get in that post?
Yes. Yeah. Well, 13 characters, or they don't have a very clear message. So then, and for people to have conversation with that post or engage them in conversation, you need to have a clear message where they're because people skim read. I don't expect them to read word by word, but then if you reinforce the messaging and do something to trigger the conversation, there's like, String, I agree with you so much. Like, you just gave me an insight that will help with my business or help with my branding. And execution is hard. So that's why I give the kingdom to the keys, because I don't expect everyone to have the deep knowledge that I have as well. So that's my advantage. I have deep knowledge.
Indeed.
And I laugh. Yeah, and you do too, Alex. So that's why we're able to compete in the space that we do, because I know that whatever information I share today, in 3 months, it's going to be outdated anyway.
Yeah, or in 3 days even. I mean, the rate the world is going. And also, I guess, you know, we have the advantage is that whilst we have our brands, we have to be careful in terms of how one projects that. It does give us the freedom to experiment and make mistakes. Whereas, and again, some of the organizations I work with, especially in the legal space, risk averse, big business employees feel that I don't want to push the boundaries in case the brand police come down on me, because that doesn't fit within the overall constructs of the business values and proposition that they're offering. So how does one kind of get around, but deal with that? Yeah,
Lenovo does a good job. If you look at all the C-levels, and there are certain people who are naturally good content creators, they create content with knowing that they're representing their brand, but they have the creative control to articulate what the vision means. And Lenovo's, I'm just using Lenovo as an example because they're a global brand. So I'm just taking a recipe from them, which is every 2 years they have a different mantra or a different vision statement or campaign. And this time it's smarter technology for all. But when I talk to every employee, C-levels to the managers, they all have their own different interpretation of that scene.
Okay.
That aligns with their values.
They are allowed then to express that on online, wherever that might be. That's really cool. That's also forward thinking that also then demonstrates that you've got a leadership team which understands how to monetize this at the end of the day, and give your staff some freedom to do that, as long as it hangs off those brand values, but however they interpret it.
But they also have really strong PR team or trainings. They probably drum into the vision and make them do communication exercises and made sure that everyone has their own interpretation. But every person I spoke to have their own interpretation of it, and that aligns with their values. So that's what one thing that Lenovo taught me when I was hanging out with them in China and in different places.
Yeah, that's again, I would say that's really, really good, because again, some organizations I work with, you kind of ask them, 10 different employees, what is the value, what is the vision of the business? They can't even answer, they don't even know. They're like,
yeah, and I actually think that's a fault of the leadership, because the leadership should the role of the leader should reinforce the mission and the vision, and also the product of what they're serving. Because if, for example, if every Joe and Joanne go into a barbecue or to a bar and it's like, where do you work? They have to pitch the business.
Yep.
Like, what does that do? So if they don't articulate it in the way that's authentic or that's misaligned, that's lost business opportunity for you there.
Yeah, no, I think it's not easy for, if Lenovo can do it, I think anybody can do it. It's just that shift in mindset and that kind of thought process. So I get the content piece, I get the add value, but it's the emotional connection as much as the utility aspect. And if you can, play off the two. The next piece on this, and I do believe that sometimes we all over-engineer things and overthink things in terms of the bloody algorithm on LinkedIn and what is and what you should and shouldn't do, and so on and so forth. And I've noticed a change in the last couple of weeks in the way certainly video is performing. Native video for me, views have crashed, but bizarrely, I experimented earlier this week with a YouTube link of a 6-minute video, and that's flying. And historically, YouTube links didn't go anywhere. And now YouTube links seem to be going somewhere, which is like, okay.
I need to do that. You gotta make me experiment now.
I was like, bollocks to this. If I'm going to be penalized in terms of my videos, we're getting anything, especially my Ask Alex videos would track anywhere between, 1,000 views would be the bottom end, 5,000 to 10,000 views would be the top end regularly on a Friday. The last two struggle to get north of 500. And I'm like, what?
I actually try not to post my best content on Fridays.
Interesting. I've kind of built myself. The challenge I now have is that I have a small community that expect to see my Friday video.
Yeah, you have to retrain them, because Friday is actually is like the worst days where people are technically switch off.
Okay. So what day do you?
I find the best days is Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays.
Do you believe that to be globally as well? So it doesn't matter where in the world.
Yeah, but it's also based on what I call the transit time. But I feel like COVID now has changed so much. Usually I find it's
time
9
upstairs, downstairs, or one room.
Yeah, and actually people ask me, it's like, Stream, your content hasn't been popping up, because actually I've been moving more to Australian time zone.
Yeah.
But I have to really cater to my USA audience.
Yeah.
So and my USA, that's where most of my audience is in the USA. So I should really shift probably twice a day. But I don't really want to post 2 times a day, to tell the truth.
Yeah.
That means I have to create 30 pieces of content to 60 pieces of content. That's a lot of content pieces.
And is every single piece of content you post unique then, or do you repurpose content that you?
The way I should, I have enough content now that I probably could recycle a lot of my content from 6 months ago to back again. Because that's when I noticed every 6 months is a new wave.
Yeah.
So I should probably just recycle that content again. But that's got pissed off my existing content. So it's like, how do you, if anything, what I try to do is I look at my data and find what the content that does the best and push them back into the pipeline. That's what I should do, if anything, because I actually have a lot of original pieces of content. So I just need to recycle them again. Because the way that LinkedIn works is it's a timeline. It doesn't save or archive your old content from 6 months ago.
No, it's massively annoying the way that the way that you curate your content on LinkedIn is crap, especially video. I'm like, have a dedicated video channel, please. It cannot be that hard to find your.
I actually requested that from day one when I met up with them, because then one of my feedback about LinkedIn video is like, dude, stop. I don't want a timeline. Can you make it more YouTube centric?
Yeah.
Otherwise, it'd be a waste of our time. And they haven't changed. And
No.
I think they doubt they'll go change, because most of them. But I do feel like there's some disadvantages of creating content on LinkedIn, and I'm happy to share that.
Yeah.
Is that when you push out content, it has a very short time span. You probably noticed this, right?
Well,
LinkedIn.
Again, weird things happening. I'm getting people engaging on. I find posts. I'm like, someone's liked your post. I'm like, what? I posted that 6 months ago, or like 4 weeks ago, or like, what the hell's going on? What the hell's going on here?
but you continue to post content because people are lurkers, right? They probably come up to you saying, I read your content, I really enjoy it, but they don't engage. Do you ask them why they don't engage?
No, actually, I don't.
You should ask them that. It's like, oh, next time I love it if you comment into it, because that means that I know that you're watching, because at the moment it feels like I'm talking to ghosts, but it would be really nice to know that you're watching. So just ask them next time, like, why don't they comment?
And that could come back to full circle, back to the behavioural piece. They're fearful of commenting. They're fearful of, my, questions asked, but will everybody see what I'm doing? And I'm like, well, in theory, yes, but in practice, no, because of the way that everything works, the way the social media works. And I've had some quite robust conversations with elderly folk going, what do you mean not all of my connections see what I do on LinkedIn? I said, because that's just the way social media works. Go and have a conversation with engineering at LinkedIn. It's nothing to do with me. So that's interesting, because when I create content, I kind of create 5 unique posts for that same piece of content, and then kind of work out which one performs best and then repurpose that. I have shields. I now use Lately to help kind of automate the content scheduling and also the content posts themselves. It's a really cool piece of tech. I'll send you the video if you haven't seen what it does.
Yeah, please do.
It's changed how certainly my podcasts have now just done that in terms of downloads since using it, because I can turn a 30-minute podcast like this into like 130 tweets. And every tweet is unique, but it's our conversation, so it's transcribing this. Anyway, I digress. I'll send you the.
I think the reason why I won or been 4 times LinkedIn top voice is that I have a strong audience. People think I have connections, but even though I have like 43,000 followers, only about, and I also have newsletters. Which is another feature that I feel like is actually contributing to my growth this year.
Yeah.
Because I have like a 20 to 30% open rate with my newsletters, and it's 20,000. It's like, so it took me 3 or 4 years to reach up to 43,000 followers, and only have first connections about 6,000, like 6,000 first connections. So I have a very strong following count, but the engagement is getting lower, I notice, with my post. But on my newsletters, I feel like I should just focus all my energy on newsletters, because it's 30% open rate, or 25 to 30% open rate, and I have 20,000 subscribers there. And it took me 1 year to reach that number.
That's awesome. I'm waiting for me to get the newsletter access. I know they're now rolling it out, because I think it's interesting. Email marketing and email newsletters are coming full circle again. And there was an interesting piece yesterday on TechCrunch around the death of ad tech, and how as consumers we're fed up with social media platforms, we're fed up with adverts following us around the internet and our data being abused. And they're actually saying that brands are now finding that email, when it's from a trusted brand, email campaigns are now performing much better than ad campaigns and kind of so on. And I think that's an interesting dynamic, right?
Yeah, and I think I'm contributing to the creator economy, because I noticed that a lot of brands and even individuals within the C-level ones, C-level business owners, decided to build up their audiences, and they realized that LinkedIn could be a great distribution point for them, because it decreases the touch points, or increases the touch points of their potential customers. So then the buy-in is much faster now. And to do that, it's because it takes what I used to talk 3 phone calls to reach someone requires 10 now, from emails, from social posts. So they should treat LinkedIn as another way for them to increase the touch points with their potential buyers.
No,
and that's how I see it as. I've been working with like people who are, and we didn't have a conversation about community, and that itself is a big one too, because you have audiences, but that's a passive conversation. Then you have community, which is an active conversation, and if leveraged well, could be a huge amplifying piece and could save you so much money in terms of ads.
And what do you, in terms of community, indeed, and in terms of community, I think what I've seen, explode over the last, 6 months or so, since all this, this happened. If you think about something like Rev Genius with Jared and Gallum, who built that from scratch to, I think there's 7,000,
7,000 now
in that insane Slack. I just can't keep up now. And the Slack notifications within that. You've got Justin Michael in terms of what he's created with the Salesforce in his Discord server, from 0 to, I think we're close to 1,000 in that one. There's Andy Foote. I'm in his Facebook group around LinkedIn experts, almost at 1,000 people. So there's evidently this need and this desire for a community, for people to come together and just share insights and riff off each other. So is a community, does it need to be in a not closed environment, because Rev Genius isn't a closed environment, but separate to that? Or can you build a community per se on a public social media platform such as LinkedIn?
Facebook, like LinkedIn groups. I used to really believe in LinkedIn groups, but the notification is not so good. No. Facebook groups.
Yeah, that's weird, right? Facebook groups really good.
Facebook groups gives you analytics, tells you who's active, all these things that you need to know who are your true fans as well. And LinkedIn does. This is another thing, is like LinkedIn doesn't give you the audience analytics, and I care about that more than engagement. My metric for LinkedIn is not how many views you get or how many total views you get per month. It's how many profile views I get per month, or every 30, every 90 days. Yeah, so that's like it's like my website where I was like, this is how many people are visiting me now.
Okay, that's an interesting. I agree. I never really bothered about the view. I had a bit of a wobble last week when I was like, LinkedIn are throttling my content. I'm like, they're not. It's just something's happened. Just keep doing what you're doing. It's the quality of the view, not necessarily the quantity of the view. But again, profile views, I'm religiously look at that to make sure it's the right type of person that is looking at my profile versus some random person that's never going to necessarily buy what I do. And interestingly, I don't know whether there's a tipping point. I average 1,800 views over a 90 period day. Someone who's a 4x LinkedIn top voice, what are you averaging?
Well, the person who makes about 5 to 10K in sales has 30,000 profile visits. I'm averaging about 6,000. When I peaked, I had 22,000 when I was doing videos every day.
And how do you, so at 30K, that's almost too much to even understand what the hell, other than that's amazing, because obviously that's massive visibility. I'm then going to assume that within that 30K, there is a large portion of the audience that want to buy what he does.
He's like a very niche thing. It's Josh Braun, so he has a very, and even just check out his headlines, like check out my profile. He has a very aggressive approach.
Okay.
Content goes to his profile, like you check out his headline, it's check out his profile. Okay. And everyone checks out his profile. It's a beautiful piece of content that's like, his profile is literally a conversion tool.
Okay, I'll check it out. Josh Braun, and he's based in the US. He's based in your
yes, USA, and he does like outreach emails. So he's a good copywriter.
He's a good copywriter. Okay, being able to write as well certainly helps.
And I'm not promoting myself, because all I do is look for these case studies, because I like analyzing them and reverse engineering them, and then seeing what works and what doesn't work. Yeah. Because and the fact that he validated my hypothesis of LinkedIn being a good tool, but you need to know who your audience is, you need to position it, and you need to have a very strong product in many ways. And everyone has that, right? It's just that people don't know how to position themselves on LinkedIn, because naturally what they do is they put the headlines as if it's like a job title. I notice people do speaker, diversity, inclusion, advocate, author, and they do that when it's really your pitch line. And having very strong call to actions, like check out my profile.
I'm annoyed, because I thought about click here to find out more. So I changed mine this yesterday or the day before. I'm now your digital Magellan, and playing on who was the first person to navigate the world, and then go on to the story around how I'll help you navigate blah 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 blah.
That's great.
I thought about having click here.
Just like say learn more on click on my profile to learn more. Something like a very, very strong call to action.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's interesting, since I've made my change, my connection requests have gone up. I have no idea if that's necessarily to do with the change in my headline and the change in my about section and so on. But I've had accelerating social through serendipity. I had digital soothsayer for a while, which people liked. Cutting through the digital bullshit. I always just kind of change it and play around with it. So
can I go back to the community thing? And I think it's really important because I feel like we didn't touch on that one, because I see I'm always about the next 2 years of trends, and community is the next year of trends because people need to niche themselves because we can't meet in person anymore. So having these communities who are very like-minded with the same interests is an opportunity to connect and network with people who are going with the same interests and same vision as well. Where can people do this? It's interesting. You need an audience first, or you need to tap into different distributions to start funneling them to the community. But you have to look after the community. If there's no engagement, no one wants to hang out. If there's nothing delightful, no one wants to hang out. And Salesbook does it really beautifully because you get to see someone do live cold calls, which is like watching fire, right? Fire. See, even you're giggling about it because I don't know anyone else who has do that with a pie dollar, and every phone call he picks up, you get to see magic happen. Yeah,
it is, and I think it's also playing to the medium that the audience and the age profile is used to. That's the other thing. He's doing something which is totally normal for actually. And when you've seen how it's lit up within Discord, it is amazing. But then everybody learns from it, email teardowns. What I also love about that is everyone's being really open. There's no selling, there's no anything like that. Everyone's like, look, this is my template. This works. Feel free to use it and shape it how you see fit.
Which is the ironic thing about selling. You expect selling people to help in selling, but it's very much a utility-driven platform where it's about how to increase sales and improve your career as a salesperson, which is a totally different mindset. And I think that mindset is culturally what's resonating within that community.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that, I believe that sales feels like it's the kind of the forgotten child within an organization. You're just salespeople. You're cannon fodder. We can replace you. You look at all the stats around sales generally in terms of poor performance and this and that and that. But evidently, I said, Rev Genius, all these things. There's a massive need and want from the sales community for help. So they just go and build it themselves without not leaders that have done this. It's just salespeople that have gone on and done this. So, and I know one of the organisations that we work with, they've created a really powerful community around the Chief Information Security Officer. Use social as a way to draw people into this kind of private community, and since using social to drive that more effectively, this community has grown, and there's engagement, and that's the key thing. And back to LinkedIn groups, I think that's where LinkedIn groups also fell down, is the way you engage in a LinkedIn group is just not very. It's very clunky, let alone you don't get any of the analytics behind it. So, wow, there's so much here. Fried chicken. You said we're going to get fried chicken. You've got fried chicken in your profile, and you talk about fried chicken in some of your social media posts.
Well, I'm going to give you two choices, Alex.
Right.
Should I tell you the framework of personal branding, or do you want to know how to learn how to use social properly using fried chicken? Which one would benefit your people the most? How to use social properly or personal branding framework?
Oh, that's a tough one. I'm going to allow you to choose.
Okay, I'm going to give you the personal branding framework because we've been talking about personal branding. So I have this framework called the 7 Bs, and this is where fried chicken will come into it. With the first B, you need to know your vision. What's the kind of impact that you want to be known for, but also you want to do. to the world. Values. There's two types of values. There's your business values, so like what is your unique selling point, and the second values is what makes you authentic is your values, personal values. Like my values is I'm creative and I believe in diversity, and I always need to be innovative within the space as well. So that's my values, right? Third one is Volk, which is German word for Volkswagen. It's like people's for the cars.
Yep.
So you need to know who you're creating content for. The faster that you know your audience, it's not about creating content for yourself. It makes sense for you to start off to create content for yourself, but once you switch to audience building, you need to know who your audience is. Who is your target market? Who do you want to serve? Fourth one is your visuals. This is where fried chicken comes in.
Okay.
I am very meta and I'm all about symbolism. So when you see fried chicken, you go, or see KFC, you go think of String. It's like, I don't know what String does, but I know she likes fried chicken.
Yep.
And like every day, there's a metric where my KPI is like how many people will send me fried chicken stories per day, and I get one per day.
Got you.
Yeah, that's
building on what you were saying in the earlier is around emotions.
Yes,
yeah,
and memories. Yeah, that's my hook. But like I have a feeling that symbolism is a powerful tool. People forget faces, forget people. You know, we get so busy with our life, but if I brand associate you with something that you love and adore or hate, you'll remember me.
Interesting.
Fried chicken has a universal appeal.
It does.
Even vegans hate it. And then there's voice.
Oh my God.
I get into argument voices, right?
Oh, that's awesome.
Voice, right? What is your key content pillars, or what is a message that you want to convey? We also, like mine's video, LinkedIn, personal branding, and yours is probably there's certain topic pillars that you're known for, content pillars that you're known for. And validation is like what is the metric of success? Mine's profile visits and the amount of fried chicken I get per day. And victory is like, how do you monetize this? It's all about, even you don't realize it, but you should think about this as a business model. A good content creator should start thinking like a business model, a business person now. And that's the 7 V's. 7
V's. Awesome. Absolutely love it. String, it's been an absolute joy to have you on here. I feel we could talk forever. You've thrown in some curveballs again just now. I love it. Where can people, I know this is a really stupid question because we've been talking about it, but where can people follow you, find you? Where's the best place to connect, as it were?
I'm growing my YouTube actually, so I will love it if you go to String Story.
Perfect.
And on LinkedIn, just reach out and say, I found you on Alex podcast, because I get a lot of inbound. So even you're just writing that I've listened to you on Alex podcast, yes, then I know where you're coming from, because I'm happy to connect with people that listen to my stuff. That's what fried chicken does. From fried chicken, I'm happy to connect with other people who prefer fried chicken.
I love fried chicken, barbecue chicken, chicken wings, and all over it. Perfect. I'll put the links to your YouTube channels. I'll put the links to your LinkedIn profile. But String, I appreciate it's late in the evening for you over in Melbourne. Thank you so much. And to my audience who are watching, thank you. To my audience, our audience in the ether, wherever you are listening, thank you very much. Please do check out String, as she says. Please do mention this podcast. As ever, if there's anybody that you think I should get on this podcast or this vlog, let me know. But wherever you are in the world, stay safe, keep well, and I will see you all on the flip side as usual.